Hi everyone, it's Ania from Interior Design Hub, back again today going over the 6 principles of interior design. Alright, so what are we going to cover? So the 6 principles of interior design, we've got balance, harmony and unity, rhythm, emphasis and focus, contrast, and scale and proportion. Let's dive into it. We're going to start with balance. Balance is achieved by distributing the visual weight of objects within a space to achieve a feeling of equilibrium. The size, shape, color, and texture have a major impact on the visual weight of a particular item. Larger, darker, brighter, and highly textured objects feel heavier. So balance can be achieved in 3 ways: symmetrical, asymmetrical, and radially. Symmetrical balance is when objects are mirrored or repeated, generally along a central axis. Sometimes in design, when you go for this symmetrical look, it can almost appeal dull or static, but it really does depend on the end user. Asymmetrical balance. This really is on the visual weight of objects. So rather than repeating an item within a space, you'll use different elements with similar perceived weight to achieve balance on opposite axes. This tends to feel a lot more dynamic and less rigid because of a variety of objects working together to create balance. Radial balance. So this is just like it sounds, it's circular in nature. So the arrangement is around a central focal point. So think chairs around a table, that would be a radial balance. A circular rotunda, or even a circular light fixture. Design principle number 2, harmony and unity. So harmony can be described as sameness, so one thing belonging with another. The repetition of design elements like color, texture, shape, and form is one of the easiest ways to achieve harmony to create a composition. Unity in design. Design theory describes unity as the way in which the different elements of composition interact with one another. A unified layout is one that works as a whole rather than being identified as separate pieces. Using harmony and unity to create a sense of cohesion makes that initial pattern recognition easy. Our brains categorize those repeated details that similarities much faster than they would if none of the design elements fit together, which subconsciously allows us to be calmer when we're in the space. Design principle number 3, rhythm. Rhythm makes a room feel put together. Subtle patterns that take all of your individual design elements and ties them together. In our space, it can be seen as repetition, alteration, or progression. Within interiors, this adds order, interest, and focus to help lead your eye through the room. Repetition is repeating elements of design. Alternation is alternating 2 or more elements in a regular pattern. Progression. Color gradation is an excellent example. Rhythm is all about repetition, maybe bold or simple to direct a path of travel. Design principle number 4, emphasis and focus. The question with emphasis and focus is, what do you want to highlight within your space and what do you want to hide? In commercial design, we see this with things like highlighting products, signage, and customer service counters. In residential design, we'd see this within highlighting a fireplace or artwork, perhaps a staircase, a high ceiling, or large windows. It can really help create drama and interest. The easy ways to achieve emphasis and focus is through color and light. It gives attention to an object, detail, or space. Design principle number 5 is contrast. Contrast helps give impact to a space. The easiest way to think about contrast is to think about color. A really good example of contrast is an accent wall within your space. Contrast can be achieved through color, form, and space. It can be light versus dark, bright versus dull, big versus small, ornate versus plain, organic versus geometric, feminine versus masculine. There's so many ways to create contrast, and it's really creating tensions between opposites. Design principle number 6 is scale and proportion. Scale and proportion are one of the really important elements of design. Scale refers to the relationships between 2 or more objects, one that has a commonly known size. In most cases, the size of objects is compared to our own human scale. So some examples of what you can find in your home. Standard heights of kitchen countertops. Chairs are scaled to fit the human body. Hallway widths allow for people to comfortably pass one another. Our environments are built on data of the human scale. Proportion, a word often used interchangeably with scale, although there's a subtle difference. It relates to the general size of two objects without information regarding their actual size or scale. While scale is more absolute, proportion is truly relative and requires an understanding between objects within a three-dimensional space. It's hard to explain when things are in proportion within a space. You could really say that this is how you have to have an eye for design. So some examples of proportion in interior design. So proportion would be like a coffee table being 2/3 as long as the sofa it is paired with. A really good thing to know about is the golden ratio in interiors. The golden ratio has been used since the Egyptian times. It's also applied to the natural proportions of the body, shown over and over again in nature. Generally, people find this ratio aesthetically pleasing. How do we use that in interior design? Well, we would take, for example, a room and divide it into two sections, one that takes up 2/3 of the space and a smaller section consisting of the last third. The larger section is going to contain your main furniture within this space, and it really makes that primary function clear. The smaller section would be for alternative seating or perhaps storage. Interior design is more of an art than a science, and sticking to the same ratio gets boring, so it's important to incorporate contrast to create visual interest. Sometimes the best way to test out proportion is to step back and ask yourself, does this feel right? If the answer is no, then make adjustments and try again. Typically, when we think of scale and proportion, we think of large furniture pieces and placement. However, that's only a part of the equation. These concepts should play a role in nearly every aspect of a room's design, right down to the accessories. A general rule of thumb for artwork when it comes to scale and proportion is to use 4/7 of the wall. I know it's super random, but I'm going to make it easier for you. Since that's hard to visualize, try measuring the width of the wall and then multiplying that by 0.57, which is 4/7 of the wall. This result from this equation will give you the ideal size. Alright guys, so that covers our 6 interior design principles. There's so much more we can go into, but just want to cover some of the basics. If you guys want to learn more about interior design, I'll include some videos up here for you guys. Thanks guys, it's Ania with Interior Design Hub. Until next time, bye! And radially balanced. Radially? And radially balanced? Radially balanced. Radially? The repetition of design elements like unity, on the other hand, is when elements in a space combine. So unity on the blah, blah, blah. Design principle number 4. Which is 4/7 as a fraction. Which is 4/7 as a decimal. Scale